True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is August 3rd right now. Again, pre-recording some things, so I don't know exactly when this episode's going to come out, or if I'll have a baby by then, or if I'll still be pregnant by then. But 37 weeks right now, currently recording, so it could be anytime. I'm just saying on Patreon, we got to make it one more week at least, because I want to go to my birthing class so that I just feel more informed and confident. So fingers crossed, one more week at least.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Yeah, I gotta keep this baby inside, keep my legs closed, crossed, real tight. So what's going on with you?
Not too much. It's been crazy weather here, like cyclonic, I don't even know, rain, like sideways rain, and just randomly, like it'll be blue skies, then the next minute it'll be pouring rain. But August, as I think I mentioned last week, is when it starts to get nicer here. Like we do have like some 75-degree days. It's 20, 22, 25-ish Celsius coming up, so that's nice. I do feel like, and it's definitely getting lighter, so I'm going to, after we record today, I'm going to try and get out for a walk while it's not raining, get some vitamin D, some fresh air, and just, you know, I'm just not a winter person. Every year I just feel like I push it out of my mind till it's actually here, and then when it's here I'm like, it's too much. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But one thing I just did want to mention, like I know some people like hearing about Australian things sometimes.
They do.
I have found a really cool playlist on Spotify, and if you don't know much about Australian music and you want to listen to it, like obviously this is not sponsored, this is just something that I've been enjoying listening to. Triple J, which is like a radio network here, have released the hottest 100 Australian songs of all time. So some of these go back like, I don't know, 40 years, a long time. Some are new. It's a really, really, really good playlist. Some really like I've had it on in my car basically every day since it's come out. Even my husband, like, he's like, this is really, really good. So definitely check that out on Spotify if you are looking for something new to listen to, because I love when someone says check out this playlist. It's really cool, something that you haven't heard before if you're looking for some new music.
Is Down Under by Men at Work on there?
Oh yes, it absolutely is. The number one song was Never Tear Us Apart by In Excess, which I'm sure everyone pretty much knows that one too. But
yeah,
there's definitely some lesser known Australian ones on there, and like some of them I grew up with and I haven't heard for years, so I've really been, it's like a bit of a nostalgia kick for some of them. Some of them are like last year, but it's a very, very good mix over the years. It's a really good playlist.
I'll have to check it out. Now I want to listen to Down Under though, because it's just such a funny song.
And so before we get into the episode, just one thing to remind you guys of too is that you can leave Spotify comments on our episodes. We love having a bit of a chat with you, hearing what you've got to say about the episode, if you've got any thoughts or opinions or comments. One I just wanted to pull out as a listener of the week. It's from a few weeks ago now, but it's from Leah. She said, great episode. Also here blocking out the haters. Try not to focus on negative comments. You don't have to have your podcast for people like that. They will always be unhappy. I'm here always. I am beyond excited for you, Steph. Having your first baby is just imperfectly magical. I can hear the joy in your voice since the announcement. Olivia, you have the unique ability to let someone talk without interrupting or immediately jumping in to give your 2 cents. It's a breath of fresh air. So thank you very much. So yeah, remember to jump on, leave comments. You know, we can chat back and forth. Even there was for the first time in a while, there was a timestamp comment this week. So I just reminded the person that they a chat comment so I reminded the person about the timestamps. So remember, always there are timestamps at the start of every set of show notes. You can go straight to the crime if you don't want to hear us chat.
Yes, and thank you for the nice comment, Leah. I'm glad that you can sense my excitement instead of just saying I'm annoying or tired or miserable or whatever. Okay, let's get into what we're talking about today. It seems like a very niche theme, but
yeah,
we're talking about 2 cases today, 2 separate cases where Australian women have committed murder and decapitated their victims.
It is niche, like what you say. Like, I didn't think, because I wanted to do the first case, especially because it's very, very current. Like, literally within the last few days, there's been updates. But when I've started to look, there wasn't enough for a whole episode. So I'm like, I'll have to look and see if there's something else. And there's another case that is surprisingly similar and did happen in Australia just by coincidence. So yeah, very niche, but maybe not so much.
But it works.
Yeah.
So the first case we're going to be talking about, the one that is recent, is regarding reality TV star or a contestant named Tamika Chesser, who appeared on the Australian version of Beauty and the Geek in 2010. She's recently been accused of murdering and decapitating her partner Julian Story in June 2025. I know when this case happened, I did see a lot of people talking about it online. Obviously, I had no idea who these people were or much about the show, but there was a Beauty and the Geek in the US too.
Yeah.
I remember. I feel like it was older than that, though. Maybe not.
I've never really watched Beauty and the Geek. Like, I know it's always been a show here. It's not one that I've really watched. And to be fair, her episode was a very long time ago, like 15 years ago. But she was kind of the typical Beauty and the Geek contestant, like blonde, a little bit ditzy, very attractive.
Yeah, that's how it was here too.
Yeah. And even, like, obviously the guys, when I watched the clip of her and her geek, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this was actually a show. Like, they dressed them up. So here we say daggy. I don't know if daggy is a word there, but like,
No.
I don't even know what your equivalent would be. Like, if someone's daggy, they're kind of unfashionable and a bit nerdy and a bit, I don't even know what your equivalent word would be. If you call someone a dag here, like you're a dag, it means you're a dweeb.
A dweeb.
A dweeb, basically. Yeah. So yeah, very, very stereotypical she was in Beauty and the Geek.
Yeah, this was the time of, like, when it was on here, and I imagine it's the same for you guys, of when the reality shows were, like, unhinged. It was starting with, like, Flavor of Love, and then there were spin-offs of Rock of Love, and Tila Tequila, and all the other different shows. Yeah, like, that was the time of these reality TV shows, that was, like, where then you look back and you're like, who let these be on TV?
Even when you think about, like, the Osbournes were kind of the start. Like, there was such a peak reality TV time, and I don't think it will ever be
an
like
amazing
that again.
time.
Yeah, the best time in television history.
The golden days before everyone wanted to be an influencer and everyone was just acting like they weren't looking for brand deals on reality TV.
From flirtatious blonde bombshell,
I'm the best person at making animal noises,
to accused depraved killer.
I can tragically say that we have not recovered the head of Julian Story.
Tamika Chesser shown here walking the streets of Port Lincoln after allegedly killing and dismembering her boyfriend, 39-year-old Julian Story, bag in hand, 3 dogs in tow.
I'd rather a horror movie any day because they're not true. There's movies out there that wouldn't even compete with the horror.
Julian's body was found last Thursday after a small fire at the couple's unit. Police believe he'd been dead for up to 48 hours. His head had been removed and still hasn't been found. The search continuing in Port Lincoln for an 8th day.
What I'm asking for today is the public assistance about her movements so we can recover Julian's head and return it to his family. Specifically, we are seeking to identify the movements of Tamika, particularly between midnight, Tuesday 17 June, until the afternoon of Thursday 19 June.
This is how reality TV fans will remember Tamika Chesser, runner-up on the 2010 season of Beauty and the Geek.
I looked like the Little Mermaid and Malibu Barbie.
She cuts a very different figure these days, an alleged dark side that police are now exploring. 7 News obtaining videos of her disturbing behaviour in recent months. An outburst at the local pub. And this bizarre act at a war memorial. And it's not her first run-in with police. In 2011, she was charged with assaulting an officer in Surfers Paradise.
I remember the officer saying something about my dress, that it was too short.
Police are yet to reveal an alleged motive for Julian Story's murder.
All right, so we'll get into some background about Tamika. She has a resume online, and this is some information from that. It says she's an Australian model / actress. She delivers a positive attitude to any surrounding and is very engaging, ambitious, honest, reliable, with a polite, down-to-earth nature. She enjoys maintaining her health and fitness in a balanced lifestyle. Tamika continues to aim for higher success and new challenges. She's available to travel to auditions plus jobs if required.
So she on like her resume online is a little bit outdated. It says like last updated around 2012, but she says in 2006 to 2007 she did some modeling for Stella McCartney, but Stella McCartney's Target range, so not really Stella McCartney. Target, which is like the same here and there. Maya and David Jones, which are kind of the equivalent to I guess Nordstrom or something like that over there. So she was runner-up on series 2 of Beauty and the Geek. She appeared on the morning show, which I'm assuming was related to her Beauty and the Geek type thing. Basically, she was kind of a bit part actress. Beauty and the Geek was her biggest role as such. Before we get on with the show, today's episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack and hydration sponsor. IQ Bar is the better-for-you plant protein-based snack made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. I feel like everyone knows how much I love IQ Bar products. My favorite one at the moment is the mint chocolate chip protein bar, and you get the ultimate sampler pack, and it's a great way to try all of the IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners. And all IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's manes, adaptogens, and more. There are so many flavor combinations to choose from across the range of IQ Bar products, from mint chocolate chip protein bars like I mentioned, to blueberry pomegranate hydration mixes, to toasted hazelnut coffee, and even limited edition and seasonal flavors. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all 3. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the sampler pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text CRIME to 64,000. Text CRIME to 64,000. That's CRIME to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
So her social media is filled with some racy and glamorous looking photos.
If you have a look at the time of recording on her Instagram, just typing Tamika Chesser, it'll come up. She was quite active on social media in recent years, so most of her social media is still up as of the time that we're recording.
Yeah. She also posted a series of images that appear to reflect Jewish and Hindu mythology. In a post from June 2024, she wrote at length about her spiritual journey. So this is a quote. It says, "Our Creator, our Father, and our Mother Nature, our Earth are crying out to us all. What do you think your ancestors would say in regards to the life you're currently living? Would they be proud? What do you see behind the makeup, behind the false lashes, behind the haircut or perfectly groomed beard, behind the Botox? Is the flesh you reside in of relevance? Does it make you the person you are?"
I feel like that's an interesting quote because it does kind of go against how
her
she
look.
used to be. Yeah, like and she's still, like, to be fair, when she was arrested, she looks quite different. But I feel like up until, basically recent years anyway, she's been very into how she looks. I have no doubt she probably had Botox and things like that. It's just, it seems like there was some type of, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say transformation, but change going on within her, which I feel like
some sort of turning point in her life, maybe mental health
or
issue,
drug, we don't know, drug related as well, but there was something kind of shift going on.
Tamika's online resume indicated that she was based in Queensland, but at some point she relocated to South Australia. And in June 2025, Tamika, who was 34, and Julian, who was 39, were living in a unit together in Port Lincoln, South Australia. In June 2019, Port Lincoln had an estimated population of 26,418. The city is said to have the most millionaires per capita in Australia. as well as claiming to be Australia's seafood capital. So seems like a nice place to go.
Yeah. Lots of great white sharks down there too, I'm pretty sure.
Police have since said that Tamika only arrived in Port Lincoln shortly before the murder. So in the months prior to the murder, Tamika had been struggling with her mental health, it seems. Her sister told the media it just started getting worse. She started being in and out of mental health. She didn't mention anything, and she just told everyone that she loves them. It's my sister, but that's not who she is or the Tamika we know. That's not the Tamika anyone knows. Tamika had been checked out of a mental health facility in Port Lincoln just weeks before the alleged murder, despite her family's pleas. On the afternoon of Thursday, June 19th, 2025, police were called to the unit where Tamika and Julian were living after reports of a fire. According to the documents, a witness told police that he observed smoke coming from Unit 3, and he saw the accused and asked what she was doing. The accused said nothing, and then took her dogs out for a walk and locked the front door. So the witness was concerned that the smoke and fire would spread to the other units, so they filled a bucket with water and entered Unit 3 through a rear door. And these are still quotes. So in the bathroom of the unit, he located a bundle of clothing rags and debris that was smoldering. The witness doused this and repeated this with a second bucket of water. Police have said that Tamika walked around the town for hours after the murder. She can be seen walking with a bag, dogs, and dressed in heavy clothing.
There's some really clear CCTV stills of her. Like, she looks quite scary
Cloaked.
and intimidating. Yeah, like she's literally got like a black hood on, wearing all black. And to be fair, it is winter and it would be cold down there. So she's got like stockings or tights. I don't know if they're boots. Like basically she's dressed head to toe in black with a black hood. She's got 3 black little, like varying size dogs, a black bag. Yeah,
black dogs, black bag.
It's not like your usual attire that you would wear if you were just out to walk the dogs. It's a very unusual outfit.
Yeah, very cloaked. I mean, it does look like it's maybe wet out, but still seems strange.
Yeah.
If anything, I feel like it would draw more attention to her than less.
Yeah, definitely.
The document said police arrived at the scene after being called by firefighters, where they allegedly located Julian's remains, minus his head, in the bathroom. The document said once the scene was secure and safe, police entered the premises and in the bathroom sighted the deceased remains, which were severely burnt and disfigured. Tamika had returned to the unit by this time and she was arrested. It says the accused was seated in a garden chair in the rear yard adjacent to Unit 3 in a catatonic and unresponsive state at this time. There was initially a suppression order regarding Tamika's identity, as happens in Australia.
And New Zealand. I don't understand. Like, maybe it was because of her mental health. I don't know. But for a long time, like even we posted a photo on our Facebook page of Tamika, and a news agency commented and said, where did you get this? And we got it from a local news report. But because people just didn't know who it was, and for some reason they wouldn't say her name or give her identity for a little while, but they did thankfully lift this, because sometimes these suppression orders can go on for years, but they lifted this one pretty quickly.
Yeah, so then we were able to find out some more information about the situation. Tamika was taken to the psychiatric facility James Nash House, and she was charged with murder. She appeared in court via video and had a shaved head. Like, did they shave her head, I'm guessing? Or did she?
Well, I don't know.
It could be I feel like it's a health thing in some places.
Yeah, it could be. But then also, like, you can't see her hair at all in the
That's true.
black hooded thing. Like, even, like, I've seen different angles. So maybe she shaved it. I don't know. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if she did shave it because...
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because, you can't see her head in that. The stills and stuff. Her sister said they'd been unable to speak with Tamika after her arrest. She said, "We can't have contact with her. She's still unresponsive at the moment. It's very sad, and I'm very sorry to Julian's family." Police made this statement on June 27, 2025. They said, "We know that after his alleged murder, Julian's body was dismembered, and while I won't provide any further details about that at this time, I can tragically say that we have not recovered the head of Julian Story. I can only imagine the grief this news is causing for Julian's family. It's crucial that we locate Julian's head so that his family has the opportunity to lay him to rest." Police also asked for information on Tamika's movements during the time of the murder. The detective superintendent said, "Today I'm asking the local community or people that might know Julian or Tamika to please contact us. I'm appealing to local residents to review CCTV or dash cam footage which they may have that may assist the investigation. Specifically, we're seeking to identify the movements of Tamika, particularly between midnight Tuesday, June 17th, until the afternoon of Thursday, June 19th. We know that they are in a relationship together. It's something that's being explored, that domestic relationship." The detective superintendent also said there was no obvious motive at that stage and that Tamika was compliant when she was arrested.
It's so crazy to me. Like, obviously, I know women can murder and, it happens a lot, but this is such a heinous and also such a physical crime to be able to dismember someone. And we'll get into what happens, but then to take his head and dispose of it so no one can find it for a period of time, it's just mind-blowing, which makes, I feel like there must be some type of mental illness or drug-related psychosis or something like that going on in this case.
I agree, because just even burning the remains and stuff in your bathroom and then leaving to walk the dogs is
and
also
coming
very
back
ridiculous.
And being catatonic and all that type of stuff. There's obviously, this wasn't just a rage, this was some type of psychosis, I believe.
Yeah. Julian's family have also issued a statement. They said, "We are navigating an unimaginable loss, and your care has brought comfort amid the chaos. We are also deeply grateful to our family and friends and this extraordinary community whose kindness and support have helped carry us through. Your prayers, presence, and quiet strength mean more than words can say." Tamika has also been charged with assaulting an emergency worker. She was scheduled to front court on July 31st for the assault case, and the murder charge is expected to be called in a higher court in December. This is some info about the July 31st appearance. It says, the 34-year-old woman appeared at Port Lincoln Magistrates Court on Thursday via AVL from James Nash House. She sported a shaved head and wore a blue sweater and greeted the magistrate Patrick Hill with a hello. Ms. Chesser is an Indigenous woman, and Justin Slater, a solicitor with the Aboriginal legal rights movement, represents her in court. He told Mr. Hill he had ordered reports into her charges. He said, "We are doing our own reports in relation to these matters." He asked Mr. Hill to adjourn the matter until a charge determination has been made for Ms. Chesser's more serious allegations, and Mr. Hill agreed to the request, saying December 18th at Port Lincoln for the next hearing. When asked if she understood her hearing would be adjourned, Ms. Chesser replied, yep.
Yep.
The same day that Tamika appeared in court, Julian's head was recovered. So police spoke about this at a press conference. They said, "Earlier today, police received information from a member of the public in Port Lincoln that they have located in a scrub area what appeared to be a human skull. There are some walking tracks through there. My understanding is the person who contacted us today was walking their dog in the area. The dog ran off into the scrub and didn't come back when called. They had to walk into the scrub area to find the head. The remains were not buried. They were quite out in the open. Imagine just walking your dog and your dog runs off and you go find them and you're like, oh,
I've seen like a clip of where the remains were found, and it looks like it's kind of, I don't know if it was at a beach or something, but it looks like basically it is literally just a walking path. I'm actually shocked that it took someone that long to find it. Like it took 6 weeks-ish, I think. So if this happened she did it in June 19th-ish, and then the remains were found on July 31st, so around 6 weeks. It was literally just looks like it's a path where you would walk. People would be going past all the time. I'm assuming she went slightly into the brush and maybe put it under like a shrub or something, so that's why it wasn't found for so long, but really, really not hidden at all.
I wonder when she did it too, because I guess they are giving the time span of like Tuesday to Thursday.
Yeah, the 17th to the 19th.
Probably. I guess when she was burning the stuff was towards the end of that time span, so maybe she had already done that previously, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The police also said preliminary investigations and phone calls to Forensic Science Center indicate the remains are most likely human, and I believe they are the remains of Julian Story. Julian's family have been contacted today and provided an update in relation to what's been located and what the ongoing process is from here. Hopefully we can give them some comfort in that we have found all the remains of Julian. The man who found Julian's head has also spoken to the media. His name's Tyson McCullum, and he said he was walking in the area when his dog Benji found what police believe is a human head. He told the news, "I just went in a bit closer and kind of made the connection pretty quickly as to what I thought it was. It was pretty surreal, to be honest. I was kind of like, no way, it's not what I think it is, surely not. But it's too coincidental."
So yeah, we should hopefully hear more on that case if it does go ahead in December. I feel like it will probably be pushed out. Things here sometimes move super slowly, especially with mental health or addiction issues. That is scheduled again for December, but whether or not it happens then I guess will be another thing we'll have to look out for. But just a particularly brutal crime. I am interested to know her motivation or what the circumstances were leading up to it. Obviously, she was suffering some mental health issues. She'd been in and out of mental health facilities in the months before. Even judging by her social media posts, they are quite unusual. It reminds me a little bit of the episode we did recently on Lauren Flanagan, who started making the kind of weird social media posts right before she allegedly murdered her daughter and then took her own life while she was in jail. So I feel like sometimes when people do start changing their tone on social media, becoming more religious, more spiritual, it sometimes can indicate that there is something going on.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, like this crime and like this story and the next one, obviously they're just like not, stereotypically crimes that women would be the ones to commit just because of like the sheer like strength and brutality of it. It's normally something you see coming more from men, which also just kind of makes you think a little bit more about the mental health aspect of it all.
Yeah, definitely. So the second case we're going to discuss is another one from Australia. It's from Sydney, though, this time. It's a little bit older. It happened in July 2019. So it's just been 6 years since this case has happened. It's about the case of Jessica Camilleri. She was 25. She was living in the Sydney suburb of St. Clair with her mother, Rita, when this all happened. Jessica was born on October 12th, 1993. So it was just the two women in the home at the time. Rita had separated from her husband and her older daughter / Jessica's sister had moved out of the house, and Rita was Jessica's sole carer. This was because Jessica had diagnoses including autism spectrum disorder and intellectual disability and intermittent explosive disorder. She also had OCD, depression, and schizophrenia. So she had a lot of things going on. Obviously, that's why she needed her mother to be her carer. As she was growing up, Jessica was placed in a learning support unit when she attended school, and she was in a special learning class. So I don't know how your schools are set up there, but often in public schools here especially, they all have a learning support unit for children who have additional needs, so they can still kind of attend a mainstream school but get the support
similar
they need.
Here, yeah.
Yeah, which it sounds like is what her scenario was.
Mm-hmm.
They've said that Jessica found it hard to make friends and she often didn't get along with other children. She was bullied, and when she was bullied, she responded with violence. When she was in grade 9, she was attacked for biting the arm of a boy and also attacking his girlfriend. She was expelled from school in grade 10 after she assaulted another student. After she was expelled, she participated in a vocational program called Novo Transition to Work, but she was involved in violent altercations there and police became involved and she was asked to leave the program. So she obviously had a history of violence. In June 2018, her behaviour became increasingly aggressive. A psychiatrist diagnosed her with intellectual disability, poor anger control, impulsive behaviour, OCD, and high anxiety levels. At this time, she commenced hypnotherapy 4 times a week. Professor Greenberg would later review her notes and said that it was apparent that she had high anxiety levels and lack of insight causing frustration to build up, and her ability to tolerate stress decreases, causing her to lash out without thinking about the consequences. So basically a lack of impulse control. Her response to a lot of things was violence. It would have been very hard to control. She was quite a large statured girl, so she wouldn't have been easy to control in terms of having violent outbursts. It's not like she was a tiny little thing who you could just restrain. It would have been much harder to restrain her in those situations.
Yeah.
So Jessica was admitted to hospital in November 2018. She was prescribed Valium and an antidepressant. She stopped taking the antidepressant, though, in December 2018. In the months prior to this incident, which was July 2019, Jessica stopped taking her medication. She had told her family that she wanted to seek more natural alternatives to treat her conditions. So as we mentioned, Jessica was 25 at the time that this all happened. I guess she had the right to pick how she wanted to be treated despite having such an extensive mental health history. She decided that she wanted to go the more natural route. Jessica's family have said that she loved watching horror movies. Her two favorite films were Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Jeepers Creepers. She watched these on DVD repeatedly. Her sister sometimes took the DVDs and tried to hide them as she thought they weren't suitable for her to watch, but this would enrage Jessica. Rita, her mother, gave her the DVDs back as a way to keep the peace. So there is a case law court document for this case. We've mentioned in the past that Australia is very, very hard to get information on unless the case goes to court and they release a case law court document. Tons and tons of information on this one. I'll link it in the blog. It goes all into her medical history, her mental health history, more about the events that led up to it. So if you want to read the document in its entirety, I'll pop it on the blog.
Do you know how they decide like which ones will be case law?
I feel like once it goes to a higher court or a high court and it's concluded and the person is sentenced, they will release the case law documents. I feel like for lesser crimes, sometimes it doesn't happen. For more higher profile, I'm probably wrong because maybe they do it for more, but I feel like once it's concluded in the court, they will release a document. Often it's redacted and they will just have initials of the people involved. It just depends, I think, on the case, the circumstances,
I
who's
feel like
involved.
It's like unique ones sometimes too, for people to reference.
Yeah. So according to the case law court documents, one of Jessica's repeated behaviours involved her dialing random phone numbers and speaking with whoever answered the phone. On July 19th, 2019, Rita took Jessica to the St. Mary's police station in Sydney to speak to the police. This was because Jessica had made over 30 calls to one random man that day.
Man.
She started calling the man very early in the morning. She woke him up. She then ended some of the calls by saying she hoped the man got cancer and died. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, I wouldn't be answering 30 random calls. I don't know if you did answer them all. But imagine if someone's just randomly calling you and saying, I hope you get cancer and die. What is going on?
Yeah, nowadays I'd just be blocking the number.
Yeah. So Rita wanted a police officer to speak to Jessica and kind of warn her about her behaviour. Senior Constable Ailey Ross spoke to Jessica and explained that the behaviour was unacceptable and that it couldn't continue. The following day was Saturday, July 20th, 2019. There were a number of incidents that happened that day that led to there being increased tension in the house. A young relative of the women went to the home that day. The child was 4 years old. They don't really specify who it is in the court documents. I guess you can kind of guess if Jessica had an older sister, maybe this child is related to her. I don't know. But anyway, either way, it was a male child who was 4 years old. Jessica became resentful and jealous. Rita gave the child some attention. This angered Jessica. Another thing that happened was a neighbour of the woman who's referred to in the documents as Miss Heard asked Rita for help getting to the doctors because she had been having chest pains. So the child that we referred to earlier is known as Child A in the court documents, and this info is about both of those incidents put together. It says, she blamed, as in Jessica, Child A for causing delay as Rita organised herself to assist her neighbour. The offender was observed by Miss Heard to be quite hysterical and she referred to Child A repeatedly as a little bastard. The neighbour told the offender to calm down. In the car during the drive to the doctor's surgery, the offender berated her mother for having Child A to stay, telling her, you have that little bastard too often. So it seems like Jessica and Rita both took their neighbour to the doctor. I'm assuming this probably happened because the child was also there. Jessica couldn't be left alone with the child. I don't know if Jessica could be left alone at home, but basically Rita needed to take the neighbour to the doctor, so they all had to go. While they were in the doctor's surgery, a man in the street looked at Jessica. This angered her and she blamed her mother for the man's attention. When Miss Heard got out of her appointment, she said Jessica was yelling and throwing her arms around. The child was crying. Rita was trying to calm Jessica down. Jessica was said to be swearing and screaming at Rita and accused her of always embarrassing her. Later that day, when they were back at their home, Jessica became unwell apparently, and Rita called for a home doctor to come to the house. Rita told the doctor that Jessica had stomach or gastrointestinal issues. So the doctor arrived at the home at 9:25 p.m. that night and could hear Jessica talking on the phone ordering fast food. Rita came to the door and told Jessica to get off the phone so that the doctor could examine her. Jessica ignored her and could be heard trying to persuade the fast food worker on the phone to say, "I love you" to her. So there's a lot going on here. Clearly, she was not well at all.
Yeah.
By this point, it seems like she was mostly unmedicated, but she told her mum that she felt sick. So the mum got the doctor. And then while Jessica's on the phone trying to get this random fast food worker to say, "I love you."
Yeah. It just seems like a very difficult
Chaotic
situation as a parent.
Yeah. So the doctor waited for another 10 minutes. Jessica did not show any signs of being unwell and she refused to get off the phone, so the doctor left. At about 10 p.m. that night, Rita spoke with her older daughter, Christy, on the phone. She told Christy that she was so concerned about Jessica's behavior that she was going to call an ambulance and request that Jessica be taken to the hospital. Jessica didn't want to go to the hospital. She feared going to any type of facility. She told one friend that she would rather kill someone at one point than go to a psychiatric hospital. Rita tried to phone an ambulance and Jessica tried to stop her hysterically from making the call. There was a struggle over the mobile phone and Jessica was able to take it from her mother. Rita followed Jessica into the bedroom and then tried to get the phone off her again so they could call emergency services. There was a struggle. As we mentioned, Jessica was much larger in stature than Rita. Police believe that Rita was knocked to the floor and then Jessica dragged her by her hair into the kitchen. Once she was in the kitchen, Jessica used 7 different knives to attack Rita. She stabbed her mother over 100 times. The attack was so brutal that 4 of the knives that she used broke. Some of the wounds passed through her right eye socket and into her brain. This information about the attack is from the case law documents. It says, restraining her mother, very likely with the weight of her body, she directed an indeterminate but very high number of knife blows at her mother's head and neck, ultimately decapitating Rita at the C2 vertebra at the top of the neck. The neck wound was described as ragged and somewhat pulped, with innumerable overlapping stab wounds in the upper neck being at least 100 stab wounds and incised wounds present over the entire surface of the head. This included injuries to the whole surface of the face and head. There was a stab wound into the right eye that entered the lining of the brain, and the tip of Mrs. Camilleri's nose had been cut off, probably with an upward stabbing blow that ultimately pierced the bony plate upon which the brain sits. The tongue had been cut off with multiple overlapping stab wounds, the wounds having a generally upwards trajectory. A doctor thought that the removal of the tongue was either intentionally or otherwise associated with the complex decapitating wounds to the neck rather than separate to them. There were also some superficial wounds to the abdomen. So horrifically, Rita didn't die straight away. She tried to defend herself during the attack. She had 33 stab wounds to her right hand and 62 injuries to her left hand. So that kind of indicates she's putting her arms up, trying to stop, get away from Jessica. There were some bruises and wounds to her left arm and some abrasions to the right arm that were suggestive of the use of a serrated knife. There was an air embolus within a blood vessel in her neck, which meant that Rita had been upright at breathing at one point in the attack. She likely died, though, after she was eventually stabbed in the neck, and that kind of severed a vein, which is horrible.
Seems like just like a totally unhinged, like animalistic, inhumane attack.
Yeah. So both of Rita's eyeballs were removed from her eye sockets during the attack. Horrifyingly, the child was still at home at the time that the attack happened. He woke up and he apparently saw what was happening to Rita. He jumped onto Jessica to try and get her to stop. And he also used the cardboard lid of a toy box to try and strike out at Jessica.
So sad.
I can't even imagine 4 years old and seeing this horrific scene with whatever relation
still trying
he was
to stop
Rita.
it.
Jessica pushed the child off and injured him with a knife in the process. He sustained a deep wound running down his cheek, parallel with an ear, as well as lacerations to his head and his hands. The cheek wound required surgery and the head wound had to be stitched up. The child had been so distressed by what he had seen that he had vomited, and that was kind of found at the scene later on, which is understandable and just so horrific. After Jessica decapitated Rita, she picked up her mother's head and she went out onto the street. Multiple times she dropped the head on the footpath. She picked it up, walking further down the street. She would eventually drop the head on the ground and she went to a neighbor's house. She asked for emergency services to be called. Jessica herself called 000, which is our 911, and asked for both police and an ambulance. Jessica was wearing a nightgown. She was barefoot and she was completely covered in her mother's blood when she went to the neighbor's house. I can't even imagine opening the door to that. And then, like, they obviously gave her the phone or let her use the phone. But imagine opening the door to the woman covered in blood.
I would not be opening the door.
No, I would also not be opening the door. When police arrived, Jessica gave them an account of what happened. She first said that Rita was the aggressor and that she had tried to defend herself. She said, "Mum grabbed me by the hair, dragged me from my room all the way to the kitchen. She got a knife out of the cupboard and she tried to stab at me with it because I think she's had enough. She was pulling me by the hair. She's ripped out all my hair. There's hair everywhere. She stabbed me and broke my finger." Police wore body cameras that night. There is some transcripts of the conversations they had with Jessica. She says, "Can I ask, is my mum dead? Don't think I'm insane, but you can't bring her back to life?" ? Jessica said that she knew doctors can do miracles, and the officer said that's a bit of a stretch. Jessica asked, "Is anything going to happen to me? Do I get the death penalty?" The officer said, "We don't do the death penalty in Australia." And she said, "Okay, so I've got nothing to worry about." Jessica requested that her family be called because, quote, "they were the only ones who can explain it properly. I've got a mental illness." She also spoke about going to the neighbour and asking for help in calling 000. She said, "I had my mum's head in my hand. I know that sounds insane. I was taking it to show my neighbour." Jessica would later give her version of the events leading up to the murder. She said that she and Rita had a petty argument about Jessica going to a mental health facility. She said, "I want you out of my life. I deserve to have a free and happy life." She said, as we mentioned, that she alleged that her mother dragged her into the kitchen first. Rita grabbed the knife first. Jessica said she wanted to kill me. I don't know what her intentions were. She was so frustrated and confused. Jessica then detailed the attack, though, and said she was, quote, ramming the knife. She said, "I was so angry in a fit of rage like I've never been before." She also told authorities that she was not fit to go to jail. "I've got a really bad illness. The only place I'm probably fit for is a group home." She also said, "I understand my family are probably not going to want me after this." In December 2020, Jessica's case was taken to court. She had originally been charged with murder and she pleaded not guilty to that. The defense's argument was that impairment of her mind caused her to lose control of her actions. They also argued that the severity of her mental health issues warranted the charge being reduced to manslaughter. After the trial, it took the jury just 2 days to find Jessica guilty of manslaughter. In February 2021, she was sentenced to 21 years in prison for a crime of extraordinary viciousness and brutality. She was given a non-parole period of 16 years and 2 months. Relatives in the public gallery began to cry and they said thank you to the judge after learning of the sentence. Justice Wilson accepted the crime, as we mentioned, which involved 7 different knives, 4 of them which broke because of the brutality. Justice Wilson said the crime was entirely spontaneous and predicated by Jessica's fear of being returned to a mental health facility. They also said it involved destructive and mutilating brutality upon Rita. Justice Wilson said she must have been in extreme pain and was both shocked and terrified by what was being done to her by her own beloved child. Miss Camilleri's life was cut short in the most horrible manner imaginable. The judge said that by further mutilating Rita's body after she had died, Jessica was indulging in sort of a macabre curiosity sparked by her obsessive viewing of horror movies. The Justice Wilson also said, though, that Jessica's crime meant she had not lost only her mother, but her carer, her protector, and her only friend. Jessica's sister, Christy, pledged in court that she would never forgive her. Christy said that Jessica was selfish and said that she was offered but refused all possible help from relatives and professionals. She said that she didn't care what happened to her sister once she would eventually be released. So Christy seems to have kind of washed her hands of Jessica, which I think is an understandable reaction to what's happened.
Yeah, definitely.
So despite all this happening, in October 2023, the case was taken to the Supreme Court. Justice Peter Hamill dismissed claims that Jessica's sentence was manifestly excessive and that the sentencing judge had been incorrect in their assessment of the gravity of the crime. Despite this, Justice Hamill ruled that she should be resentenced, and that was supported by Justices Christine Adamson and Richard Kavanagh. Justice Hamill said, objectively, the facts were gruesome and brutal and involved a frenzied attack on an innocent victim in her own home. On the other hand, though, the offense was spontaneous and the result of Jessica losing control of herself because of her complex psychiatric illness. Her behavior of walking into the street with her mother's head and dropping it, as well as asking emergency services personnel whether they could reattach it, demonstrated the extent to which the applicant's conduct was divorced from the real world. So based on the evidence of multiple psychiatrists and a psychologist, Justice Hamill found that Jessica had only a simple understanding of her moral wrongfulness due to all the conditions that she had. He ordered that Jessica be resentenced to a prison term of only 16 years with a non-parole sentence of 12 years. So this means that Jessica will be eligible for parole from July 20th, 2031. So I haven't really seen any information about what will happen to Jessica after that. I'm assuming obviously she won't be able to live by herself, so she probably will be admitted to some type of mental health facility. Her sister seems to have washed her hands of her. I'm assuming that she can't live by herself, so there will have to be some type of care provisions made for her.
Yeah, a case like this is like hard to comment on because I know, especially here, like how hard it can be to get help for. I know she wasn't a kid anymore, but it seems like she's had these problems for a long time, where these types of like violent and aggressive behavioral issues. And she was diagnosed, so it seems like she was like going to some type of doctor at some point. But then again, on the other side, it's like she still is responsible for her own actions, and no illness gives someone the right to like kill someone else and just being like, oh, well, I have this, and this, and I have all these behavioral issues. So just sad. Like, and her sister's frustration makes me like believe a little bit more that it seems like she wouldn't get help either, but then obviously she's mentally ill. I don't know, it's just hard.
It is a tough one because I do feel like sometimes, obviously, we were just talking earlier about how the defense needs a defense. So often mental health is used in some cases where I feel like it's often an excuse or it's played up. Whereas in this case, I really do feel like she was very, very mentally ill. She had so many things going on. She had since she was a child. This is not something that had just onset. It had been going on for so long. It sounds like the whole family had tried to help her. I still don't.
It's hard when they have like the violence.
Yeah, especially the violence. Like, no, it's not even just so much. That's just an added thing, and especially when it's someone who is harder to control in terms of even just like physical restrainment, it would be a tough thing. It sounds like Rita tried to do everything she could, and at that point, she knew that whatever was going on with Jessica that night, she couldn't control, and that's why she needed the ambulance, and that just pushed Jessica over the edge. I don't know, like. I don't know. I don't even really know how to comment on the sentence. I feel like it's probably a fair enough sentence as long as afterwards she's sent to some type of mental health facility, which I'm assuming.
Yeah, she's not just out loose.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. The family seemed happy with the original sentence. They cried and said thank you. I don't know. It's just a tough one to discuss because there's so much going on. Raises discussion of culpability when you have mental illness. Jessica obviously knew that what she was doing was wrong because she said, I went into a fit of rage. I've never been that angry, and I'm paraphrasing, but whatever.
But then she was also saying like dumb things to the cops of being like, oh, so I have nothing to worry about then, and like, oh, is my mom going to come back to life? I know doctors can you reattach her head? Yeah. So I don't know if she just thought she was being funny or if that really was like her reality or I don't know. But even I was just thinking, like, I do know how difficult it can be when like a loved one, a child, whoever has these like violent behavioral issues. Because I do have a family member who has had violent outbursts. And this person's also on the autism spectrum. And my family struggled with it for a long time because like, what do you do when someone is like violent and very strong and can kind of overpower you? But that part of my family was lucky enough to have the resources where they were able to get him in like a special place that helps people like him, and he's still able to live a life like his own environment, but he has AIDS and things like that. But obviously not everyone can afford that. So like if you can't afford that, like what do you do? So that's why it's also just hard to comment on because like what at some point funds run out, insurance only covers so much. Like, what can you do? And it just kind of like shows about the failures of, I know this is in Australia, but the failures of just like the healthcare system with people who have behavior issues and mental health issues.
Yeah. So here, and obviously I don't want to get too much into politics and, healthcare and stuff like that. Here there's a scheme called the NDIS, which basically you can apply for, and you get, if you have a child or someone who has needs, you can get funding and different things like that. So this was also a few years ago. So things have progressed since then. But I feel like even just as a mother with Rita, she probably wanted to keep Jessica at home. It's her daughter. She probably wanted to do the best thing that she could do. And she really thought that being the carer, I can't even imagine how hard that would have been for her to care for someone with so many needs and so many conditions. It would have been absolutely exhausting, excruciating, but she still did it. And then only when she was at a breaking point, she tried to get her into the hospital. And that was when this all
she was
happened.
like afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. Point. Yeah.
Yeah, just so sad.
It's a very, very sad case. I don't know. Jessica was obviously very against going anywhere but her house and, staying. She wanted to stay in her home. So it's just one of those ones. I don't know if there would have been a different outcome. I don't know. It's just a tough one. Rita tried to do the right thing and ultimately it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of surprising that we were able to find two fairly similar-ish cases, both happened in Australia, which, with such, I feel like just because our population is so much smaller, things happen less. Like our sample size is smaller for these type of crimes, but two, one very recent, one relatively recent, that both have a similar set of horrible, horrible circumstances. And we'll have to keep you updated when we do hear more about Tamika, but I suspect that's going to be a long process.
Yeah, probably. So that's it for this episode. Everything will be on the blog at truecrimesocietyblog.com as always. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at True Crime Society. If there's any updates with Tamika, we'll be posting them there probably before it comes out an episode. And we post all sorts of crime stories and updates to everything on there at True Crime Society on Instagram. If you want to follow me, my account is StephSum_. Olivia is still locked out.
Limbo. Yeah, I did ask our friend. We have a follower who works at Meta. She's trying to help me. She said my request is still pending. By the time this comes out, it'll
probably
be
a lot of requests.
Yeah, it'll be over a month. So who even knows? I'm just, whatever at this point.
Yeah. So my account's still there. Hopefully it stays there. Knock on wood. And the TCS account. Knock on wood also. Check us out on Patreon if you want more content from us. We do weekly bonus episodes and both episodes without any ads. We also just have like a community on there. We have chats. We have like a book club chat. We just I send pics of Peep. Just do more stuff on there. So if you want to hear more from us, check us out there. We also release the main episodes a day earlier, so you'd have access to them sooner as well. And then all the usual stuff. Leave us some comments on Spotify. Like we said at the start, we love going through them and reading them and being able to talk with everyone about what you think about the episode.
Also, one thing that we don't often say, and I keep forgetting to say, is we are also on Reddit and TikTok. We are trying
I was just going to say that.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to say we are trying to use those more just based on, I don't know, Meta running itself into the ground. So we will, check us out there. It's just True Crime Society basically everywhere.
Yeah, if you just look for True Crime Society. Olivia's very brave and made a TikTok. I'll have to learn how. Hopefully, once I'm on leave from work, I'll have more time to test these things out because I do want to get into them more. So we'll see. But yeah, check us out on Reddit and on TikTok as well. And just all the usual stuff. Keep sharing podcast your Instagram stories. We love seeing what you guys are doing while you're listening to the podcast. Love seeing your pets, your hobbies, your jobs, whatever the hell you're doing. It's very interesting to see all the different people and the different things you do. So we like to reshare those. But I think that's it. I mean, I say this every time so you guys know what to do. So do that. But that's all. So thank you guys for listening. Stay safe out there. Peace out.
See ya.